Did you know a 19-year-old rookie once walked into Chicago Stadium and made a 4-time scoring champion look ordinary for one night? November 13, 1984, looked routine on the schedule. Just Game 9 in a long season, yet the air held a different charge. Michael Jordan, still learning teammates and scouting reports, began a performance that bent the old rules. Across from him stood George Gervin, the Iceman, a master of pace and touch, a future Hall of Famer with a finger roll that could quiet bad nights. The matchup felt like master against student. It did not stay that way for long. From the opening minutes, he moved like a problem defenders could not solve. He poked at dribbles, chased a loose ball, and burst into open space that seemed to appear only for him. He reached the paint, tucked the ball, hung long enough to make a second choice, and finished through contact. The crowd exploded, and the message landed clearly. He was not there to admire the Iceman. He was there to measure himself against him, to test whether the stories about both men were real. The Bulls were not a powerhouse, but Jordan carried a force that made that fact less important with every trip down the floor. What made the night different was not only the scoring. It was the way he turned defense into pressure. He shadowed Gervin like a second jersey, denying the ball, sliding into gaps, showing quick hands without fouling. Each touch for the Spurs took an extra beat. That extra beat was all Jordan needed. A tip became a runway. A steal became 2 free throws. A long rebound became a lob that looked late and then somehow arrived on time. He was new to the league, but he already understood how to sprint from one moment to the next before anyone else could reset. Late in the first, he caught a reversal above the arc, saw the clock melting, and rose into a 3 that dropped clean. Chicago led by a basket, and the building lifted. The second quarter turned faster. A half-court trap flickered for a moment, and he reached in, took the ball, and finished alone. Misses by teammates did not turn into size. They turned into second tries because he crashed the glass and fought through arms to keep the possession alive. Even when he did not score, he bent the pace so hard that the Spurs lost their comfort and began to reach. Halftime arrived with the Bulls behind. Reality whispered its old story. Chicago was still young, still searching for shape, still asking a rookie to push a veteran group uphill. That is the point where most first years nod and accept the lesson. Jordan refused that lesson. He stepped out for the third with more urgency. A wild outlet skipped behind him, and he reached back to collect it, spun, squared, and drilled a mid-range jumper over a contest. Moments later, he grabbed a board, pushed alone, drew 2 defenders, and slipped a bounce pass to a teammate who banked it in. He was scoring, he was creating, and he was dictating what the next 10 seconds would feel like. Mid-range windows kept opening and closing, and he read each one. He paused, waited for a foot to shift, and shot while hands were still searching. The Spurs tried bodies at the rim. They tried sinking deep. They tried sending early help at the nail. None of it mattered. He changed speeds, shifted angles, and found space where there was none. By the time he sat late in the third, he had already built a night most rookies would frame, and yet he treated it like a step, not a finish line. He came back in the fourth with the same sharp steps and an even calmer voice in his head. A screen gave him a sliver, and he stuck along too. A jab created another inch, and the net snapped forward again. When help slid toward him, he fired a pass to a big cutting down the lane. When the defense anticipated the drive, he pulled up short and made the shot feel easy. It was not only the points, it was the control. He did not hurry. He did not drift. He guided the game where he wanted it to go, one possession after another, while veterans looked around and searched for answers. Gervin still scored because great scorers always find some air, but the Iceman felt a teenager attached to his shoulder. Jordan chased him off comfort zones, met him on catches, and tested the release. He took pride in the small disruptions that do not make posters. A denial that forced a late entry. A contest that nudged a finger roll too high. A jump into a passing lane that broke timing. Each detail stole a bit of rhythm. By the closing minutes, the shape of the night was clear. The kid was not only pouring in shots, he was guarding the legend in real time and winning that part too. Then came the final burst. Another loose ball, another instant sprint, another finish that sounded like a stamp on a letter already written. The Spurs had arrived expecting a routine win over a rebuilding team. They left with a new feeling, part respect and part unease. Like they had watched a door swing open and stay open. The numbers glowed. 45 points, 4 assists, 3 steals, well over half from the floor. Every column told the same story. He attacked the game from every angle and kept going until the last possession. Numbers can be matched on another night. The way the building breathed cannot. The league had a script for rookies. Watch, learn, pick your spots, and wait. Jordan stepped away from that script, found a top-level opponent, and challenged him without hesitation. Gervin finished with a strong total of his own, but the gap between them told the story. 17 points stood between their lines. That gap was the echo of the defense, the breaks, and the moments where the kid chose the play and everyone else reacted. Something else shifted inside him. Until then, the legends felt like mountains in the distance, too large to scale, more myth than flesh. After that game, he stopped staring up and started standing next to them. The nerves that wrap around a first season fell away. He looked at the court and saw peers, challenges, and a responsibility to hold his own standard every night. The Bulls still had miles to travel. Hard winters waited in Boston and in Detroit. But the direction was set. The league had a new center of gravity and the pull was only getting stronger. Think about the ingredients. The gifts were obvious, but talent did not finish those plays alone. It was the mindset, the refusal to be casual, the hunger to learn fast. He attacked rebounding battles against taller bodies. He followed his own misses and turned them into makes. He turned thin lanes into runway space and met the rim with a hard grip that left defenders shaking their heads. The famous fadeaway was years away. The polished post work was still in the future. What he had then was enough. Speed to the edge, lift in traffic, balance after contact, and the stubborn belief that the next trip would be better than the last. By the final horn, Chicago Stadium felt like a classroom that had just watched a visiting teacher deliver a lesson you remember for life. The lesson was simple. Greatness is not polite. It does not wait for a stage or ask for permission. It shows up, points at the best player in the gym, and gets to work. On that night, the Iceman learned a new name, and the league learned a new standard. The kid was not a novelty. He was a rising constant, a player who would walk in and erase plans other teams believed were safe. There is a reason people point to that date when they talk about the moment he became himself in full. Some say the first playoff explosion in Boston was the introduction. Others say the real proof did not arrive until the parades. But ask the crowd that stepped into the cold after this game, and they will tell you they heard a switch flip. Once it flipped, it did not turn off. Every city after that watched him differently. Teammates did too. Coaches built sets to fit the speed of his decisions. Opponents adjusted coverages and still felt late. That is why this rookie performance lives larger than a box score. It marked a change in belief inside him and around him. You could feel the shift from potential to expectation. The league would not be the same, not because of one dunk or one jumper, but because a teenager took the hardest assignment in the building and delivered. When the lights cooled and the seats emptied, the story had settled. A future king had introduced himself without a speech. He did it with stops, with breaks, with mid-range touch, and with the kind of endurance that makes coaches rethink what is possible. So was this the night that made Michael Jordan a superstar? Or was it the duel in Boston that came later? Maybe your answer is a moment only you remember, a game you watched with a friend, a move that stayed in your mind for years. What is certain is that on a cold November night in Chicago, a rookie chose the hardest road and walked it like it belonged to him. The Iceman met the fire, and for one night the fire burned brighter. The rest of the league took note, and very soon everyone would feel the heat.